Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yesterday here at this blessed masjid, we had an event called an Open Masjid Day. And what a wonderful event that was. Some of you might have attended it in previous years. Some of you might have been here yesterday. But it was very blessed. There was a lot of volunteers, a lot of neighbors and friends, and some relatives of reverts. They came and they attended the event. Toward the end of the event, myself and Dr. Amr, we were complaining that subhanAllah, we did not have enough non-Muslims attend. There was more volunteers than the actual guests. And subhanAllah, we were standing outside and someone came from outside running and he goes, someone wants to do shahada. So we all ran inside. And obviously Allah was teaching us a lesson that it's not by the numbers, it's by the end result. And I want to share two stories with you. They're so wonderful, I urge everyone to listen to it, and there is a moral behind the story. The first person is one of our brothers from a Mexican descent. His name is Jose, and he brought his mom. To me, it was very emotional. He asked me to do the shahadatain for her, and I couldn't. When it has to do with the mother, it just becomes very emotional for me. And I told him, how about you do it? And you should have seen the setting. She was sitting in that chair right there in the back. And she was surrounded by reverts, female members of the community who became Muslims. And they were talking to her in Spanish and educating her in what Islam is about. And her son was sitting in front of her as Ammo is sitting right now, kneeling, sitting in his knees, looking at his mom and her knees view, looking up. Like most of us has done when we were children and maybe even older than that, looking at mama. And you want to put your head in her knees and you want her to hold your head as she carried you when you were a child. But at that point, when she carried you in her hand, it was your entire body, but now it's just your head. And then she brushes your hair and you feel peace. You feel you are in heaven. That's how that gentleman looked. He looked the happiest man ever. And he probably was at that point. Because not only he found the truth and he became a Muslim, he dragged his mom into it. And she became a Muslim. And when she did the shahadatain, everyone was crying. I wish someone recorded it and I would have played it in the TV because it was unbelievably emotional. All men, before even the ladies, were crying. No tears, no eyes without tears. Everyone was crying because not only we are so happy and excited he became a Muslim, he brought his mom into it. And it made me think about it. I thought about it all night long and I think he must have been birrum bi ummihi. He was good to his mom before he even became a Muslim. And I think that's why Allah guided him to be a Muslim. And then he brought his mom in. It was a reward. And I kept thinking about all his sins that they were wiped. Clean slate. And not only that, barrum biwalidatihi. I hate to say this, but if he passed away this morning, he would have definitely entered Jannah because he's doing better than all of us who were born, raised Muslims. Because these two angels are working. They're counting the sins and the deeds and everything. But he was clean. And he brought his mom into it. And that reminded me of the hadith that we talked about last week, Al-Qarni, who the Prophet told Umar and Ali that he's going to come from Yemen, and he gave them the signs of how he looks like, and if he does, he is min Ahl al-Jannah. He's from the people of Jannah. So when you see him, ask him to pray for you. And Umar, being that he is as pious as he is, kept looking for them every time people come for Hajj, until he found him, and he was just a simple man. And the tribe says, "Ya Umar, what do you care to talk to him for? He is the person who takes care of our camels." He came up to him and he held his hand and he says, "Pray for me. Anta min ahli al-jannah." So, birrul walida. Man kana lahu ummun falyalzamha. If you have a mom, then stay close. Stay close and serve her and protect her and say yes to everything that she says. Because when you lose your mom, and you go back and you remember every argument that you had with her, none of the arguments that you were correct, you were right, and she was wrong, and she favored one of your siblings, or she did this with money, or she did this with this, none of them will matter to you. You would regret it all. You will regret it all, and you would wish she comes back just so I would serve her. So that was the first story. Beautiful ending. And another story, and we have to think about it hard enough when we go home. Another gentleman, young man, might have been college age. And he said he was intrigued to come to this event because a friend of his, a Moroccan Muslim friend of his, asked him to come, open mosque day. And he came, he says, I am culturally a Muslim. And culturally a Muslim and non-practicing a Muslim and a secular Muslim, all these terminologies do not belong in Islam. These are westernized Christian terminologies. If you're a Muslim, you're a Muslim. You're not a Muslim, you're not a Muslim. You're a Muslim. And he says his grandparents were Muslims when they migrated to this country. And then they married non-Muslims or non-practicing Muslims. And then his parents married non-Muslims. By the time it came to him, he said, the only thing I know about Islam, that pork is haram. That's it. That's all he knows. But when they came and they saw the love and the hospitality and the respect and how we treat our elderly and how we treat the girls, a little girl, 6, 7 years old, the age of my son Ilyas, read Quran for them, and they were baffled by the idea that we memorize our holy book. No other religion does that. We memorize the whole thing. There are kids that they memorize the whole 600 pages of it. Then we had dinner and he sat down and he talked to his friends. And then in the middle of the conversation, he goes, I want to become a Muslim. How do I do it? And then we had another shahada. And it made me think, similar to what we talked about last week, are we doing enough da'wah in this country? Or has the name da'wah been tainted by guilt, by association to certain tradition in the Christian tradition or some in the Muslim tradition where we feel it is not necessary or it's rude or it's aggressive? Or are we not doing enough? Isn't that how Islam spread to most of Asia and most of Africa? Is by good attitude, by being good to your neighbors, being good to your colleagues and your friends. And I connect these two, and I call upon all of us that we have to have action plan in our life. And we should not be content that we are good Muslims, that we are one of the few lucky ones. We come to Isha, we come to Maghrib, we come to Fajr, and maybe we give charity. That is not enough. And Allah is going to ask us, are we doing enough? Because this friend of ours, this brother of ours, he was good to his mom, and then he brought her into Islam, and that's going to be his ticket to heaven, bi'idhnillah. So do we all have our own tickets? I know there is no guarantees, and it's all by the mercy of Allah, but we need to work hard for it. And another thing that I was thinking about is a lot of things in life, when they expire, you renew them, right? When you break your wudu, you renew it. When you doubt your intention, you renew it. Even in business, you renew your license, you renew your rent, everything, you renew it. So maybe we should have this exercise together and renew our iman, renew our covenant with Allah. Ahdullahi baynana wa bayn Allah. It is important that we do that in a daily basis. So I would ask you to please, if you don't mind, stand up. Can we all stand up, please? And then once we do the shahada all together, look to the person right or to the left and hug him and say, Alhamdulillah, that we are Muslims. Let's do shahada together and renew our covenants with Allah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Wahdahu la sharika lah. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Give a hug to your brother next to you. I'll give a hug to Ammo.
You forget Kareem.
If I may, since we talked about mothers, our beloved sister Karima, who serves in this office and in this community for the last 9 or 10 years, she flew to Morocco because her mom is doing a surgery, a very major surgery. So remember her in your prayers. Remember her and pray for her. May Allah,
12 o'clock tonight.
it is tonight. May Allah heal her mom. May Allah give her shifa. May Allah combine for her the healing and the ajr. And may Allah give peace and happiness to her daughter and to her kids and to all the mothers in our Muslim community, inshallah. Ameen. Allahumma ameen. Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.